Friends, if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, there are people sitting in a dark room in Washington trying to figure out what America's next move should be. Because for the first time in history, they fear losing their crown as a superpower. Would you believe me? Nearly 80 years ago, at the end of World War II, the United States rose as the world's leader. It had the strongest military, the most powerful economy, and most importantly, nations everywhere looked to America with hope. But today, things look very different. China is challenging America with economic power, Russia is showing military strength, and perhaps the most dangerous battle is happening inside America itself. Democrats and Republicans see each other not as rivals, but as enemies. Did you know America's national debt has crossed $33 trillion? It's so massive that even if every American, every child, every senior, paid $100,000 each, it still wouldn't cover it. And that debt is rising every single second, like the heartbeat of a sick patient racing out of control. But this is where the real story begins. How a nation that once ruled the world is now falling apart at home. Walk through the streets of New York or California, and you'll see homeless camps. People who once believed in the American dream are now sleeping on sidewalks, while the wealthy play their games of politics from their mansions. Look at China, quietly building its Belt and Road project, connecting countries across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Not with bombs or bullets, but with money and trade. America, on the other hand, still relies on old methods, sanctions here, military bases there. But does that really work in today's world? If you study the global map, you'll see America's friends slipping away. Saudi Arabia, once a close ally, now makes oil deals with China and Russia. India, the world's largest democracy, is carving its own path. Even European nations are no longer ready to blindly follow Washington's lead. And the biggest threat? It's coming from inside. On January 6, 2021, when the U.S. Capitol was stormed, the world saw America's deep divisions exposed. That divide hasn't healed, it's grown wider. Some see Trump as a savior, others as a destroyer. But the truth is, America no longer has the unity that once made it a global power. History tells us every empire falls. Rome once ruled. Britain's empire never saw the sunset until it did. And now the question is, has America's time come? Walk through American cities and you'll see drug addiction, rising crime, a failing education system, and worst of all, social division. It feels like a mighty tree with weak roots, still standing, but ready to collapse in the next storm. China is now the world's manufacturing hub. Look around your home, and you'll likely find Made in China on most things. But how often do you see Made in USA? Once the world's workshop, America now depends on imports. And if China stopped sending goods tomorrow, the U.S. economy would freeze. But the story doesn't end here. America still has the world's strongest military. It's still the birthplace of innovations. Silicon Valley still leads global technology. And the U.S. dollar is still the world's currency. As long as these remain, America won't collapse completely. But for how long? That's the real question. Because right now, as you're watching this, somewhere a Chinese engineer is working on a breakthrough, a Russian general is planning strategy, and a European politician is deciding whether aligning with America is still worth it. The next 10 to 20 years will shape world history more than any other time. Inside the U.S., some people see the danger and are trying to rebuild, investing in infrastructure, improving education, and calling for unity. But it's not easy. Americans are more divided than ever. Social media deepens the rift, while politicians exploit it for their gain. China's story is different. Its government has tight control, and while there are problems, when it comes to national interest, people unite. In America, national interest means very different things to different people. Now, you might be wondering, if America's power is truly fading, what does that mean for us? For countries like Pakistan, or for smaller nations anywhere. A weakening U.S. doesn't automatically mean opportunity. History shows us that when a great power falls, chaos often follows. Other powers compete to fill the vacuum, and smaller nations suffer. But if we prepare, invest in education, technology, and our economy, that change can become an opportunity. The lesson is clear. Power is never permanent. Those on top today may fall tomorrow, and those at the bottom may rise. The real question is, are you ready for change? Are you willing to adapt, to learn, to work hard? Because history rewards those who do. America's story teaches us that success often brings arrogance. Arrogance brings negligence, and negligence leads to downfall. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you stay alert, keep learning, and keep working, you can avoid decline, whether you're a person, a company, or a country. So, as I close this video, I want to ask you, are you ready for the change that's coming? Are you ready for the challenges ahead? Most importantly, are you ready to make yourself, your family, and your nation stronger? If yes, write "I'm ready" in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more eye-opening content. Because the future belongs only to those who prepare for it, starting today.